Alrighty, as you can tell, we're up in the shop and we're about to work on the GMT 800 truck. We gotta check the brakes and check the oil. But of course I wanted to check in on Project Super Jank here. Haven't had a whole lot of time to work on the old girl. She still hasn't been starting. But here's an interesting DIY hot tip for you guys that have older trucks. But I'm not sure if you younger guys may even know that this resource exists. And it is probably the most important resource you will ever need for an old or classic truck. Let me show you. That's right. The good old Haynes Repair Manual. Here's a common thing that I've been noticing with the internet in terms of older vehicles. The older your truck gets, the harder and harder it will actually be to find good information about how to fix it and how to troubleshoot it. So if you can find yourself a Haynes Repair Manual from the era of your vehicle, it is a fantastic resource. Of course, you have your general table of contents here, which gives you kind of the general idea of where stuff is if you want to look at a specific system. Like, for example, engines, tune-up, routine maintenance, etc., etc. However, there is a very neat section here called the troubleshooting section. What's neat about this is just go ahead and read. So there's a couple of things that could give us some clues as to what we need to look at next. While I was digging through here, I had found some curious things that may point to something that's going wrong, including the actual proper way of testing our ignition coil. Now, I had done this already in the dark night, and that video is coming up soon. Hopefully the lighting is not too bad. I had to do with spotlighting. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on. But we did in fact test it, and we found that the old one was dead. The new one does generate power and generates it appropriately. But we're not getting power coming out of the distributor to the spark plugs. Now, one thing that this points out that's very, very helpful that I haven't found mentioned much online is ignition control module. Now, logically speaking, you would think that if the ignition control module is out, then you should not have any power generating from your coil here, from the actual capacitor part of the coil. Yet we do with the new one. However, if this is defunct or something is going wrong with it, it might not be putting out the proper amperage. That's the key thing that this book will also tell you as well. There's more to it than just that.